Few people in 1830 believed that an Italian nation might exist. There were 8 states in the peninsula, each with distinct laws and traditions. No one had the desire or the resources to revive Napoleon's partial experiment in unification. The settlement of 1814-15 had merely restored regional divisions, with the added disadvantage that the decisive victory of Austria over France temporarily hindered Italians in playing off their former oppressors against each other. Italians who, like Ugo Foscolo and Gabriel Rossetti, harbored patriotic sentiments were driven into exile. The largest Italian state, the Bourbon Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, with its 8 million inhabitants, seemed aloof and indifferent. Sicily and Naples had once formed part of Spain, and it had always been foreign to the rest of Italy. The common people in each region, and even the intellectual elite, spoke their mutually unintelligible dialects and lacked the least vestiges of national consciousness. They wanted good government, not self-government, and had welcomed Napoleon and the French as more equitable and efficient than their native dynasties. Dennis Mack Smith. In 1494 there were 5 sovereign regional powers in Italy: Milan, Venice, Florence, the Papal States, and Naples. In 1536 only one remained, Venice. These decades of conflict precipitated great anxiety among Western thinkers, and Italians responded to the fragmentation forevermore of Latin Christendom, the end of self-governance for Italians, and the beginning of the early modern era in a myriad of ways. They were always heavily influenced by the lived experience of warfare between large Christian armies on the peninsula. The diplomatic and military history of this 30-year period is a complex one, that one eminent Renaissance historian, Lauro Martinez, has described as best told by a computer. So many and tangled are the treatises, negotiations, and battles. At the same time, the fighting went in tandem with the Renaissance, and was influenced by it. Most historians credit the city-state of Florence as the place that started and developed the Italian Renaissance, a process carried out through the patronage and commission of artists during the late 12th century. If Florence is receiving its due credit, much of it belongs to the Medicis, the family dynasty of Florence that ruled at the height of the Renaissance. The dynasty held such influence that some of its family members even became pope. Among all of the Medicis, its most famous member ruled during the Golden Age of Florence, at the apex of the Renaissance's artistic achievements. Lorenzo de' Medici, commonly referred to as Lorenzo the Magnificent, was groomed both intellectually and politically to rule, and he took the reins of power at just 20 years of age. Lorenzo de' Medici may have not been a king, prince, or duke, but he nevertheless held significant influence over all of the noble houses of the region, from Milan and Naples to the King of France. Between 1482 and 1484, Lorenzo's influence prevented a close alliance between King Louis IX of France and the city of Venice, which was at war with Ferrara. Lorenzo's personal influence helped reduce Venice's power in the region. During the Barons' War of 1485 and 1486, while Florence sided with the Pope, Lorenzo favored Ferdinando of Aragon, who had close ties with Naples, giving Lorenzo the chance to attempt to negotiate an improvement in relations between the Pope and Naples. While the two had once been allied against Florence, their alliance had ended with the war. Lorenzo proposed a new agreement between the two, largely centered around financial obligations, in 1489. It was accepted in 1492, creating an enduring peace for some time. Perhaps fittingly, once Lorenzo the Magnificent died, the tenuous peace would go with him, touching off the Italian wars. In the 18th century, Italy was still divided into smaller states, but differently than during medieval times when the political entities were independent and were flourishing economic and cultural centers, almost unrivaled in Europe.